Those green bills that are called the US dollars are making great fuss lately. Some say it will die, others try to force its death, and there are some other people who wish to get rid of its influence altogether. Though the US dollars have the power to help so many world economies, but lately it has become an instrument of great suffering. The suffering began after the COVID-19 pandemic and became unbearable after the series of interest rates hikes that the Federal Reserve have imposed. So, according to this, many negative influences have become unbearable for any world economy, including the big Western economies. What about the developing countries and those who are in the loan crisis? Of course, the situation for them became dire. So every country is trying to get rid of the influence of the US dollar. But getting rid of its influence means that it threatens the existence of the hegemony of the US dollar, and it means that there would be great harm for the US economic situation itself. So, what do you think? After so many countries began to conclude bilateral trade deals in their own national currencies. Moreover, there is the polarizing effect of the BRICS countries, to which many countries who feel so weak have joined lately. And more than this, there is a great threat coming from the petrodollar system. The petrodollar system, for those who are not familiar with this, it's a system that began in 1973, according to an agreement that's concluded between the US and Saudi Arabia. And according to this agreement, there's a stipulation that oil trade will be into US dollars. So any pricing and the trade deals became into US dollars. And of course, it is not only those countries who are buying oil from the Saudi Arabia. No, it became viral. So what do you think after all these measures? Many experts estimate that the US dollar will fall off its throne that it has reserved for so many decades. But do you think that the US is standing still just like that and watching its economy and its world hegemony is destroyed? If you are interested to know whatever is going on and what measures that the US is taking, so bring your favorite drink and try to listen to whatever is going on. The story of saving the US dollar is really very entangled, and you should know that. Pre-plans take time. Do you remember by the end of December 2023, when Hegemony won the presidential race of Argentina, he was saying that he would save the country that has a troubled economy by the shock therapy. And this shock therapy means that he will follow minarchist and the free market economy and the laissez-faire principles. And among all these terminologies that are really very entangled, he was saying that he will dollarize the country. Dollarizing the country means that he will stop or demonetizing the use of the peso, the national currency of Argentina. And he will use instead the US dollar, which means that he will be affiliated to the Central Bank of America only, and his central bank will shut down. Of course, people didn't think that the situation would be just like that. He is like anyone running for a presidential race, and he is saying some very big words. But he is really that man that describes himself as a narco-capitalist and the little Trump and he is in favor of everything that is westernized, unlike the Latin America that's not in favor of anything westernized. You should know that this Hegemony is in favor of any Western and US measures. He is supporting Ukraine, trying to evade any geopolitical relations with China, and he is in favor of Israel. So what he has done, that he has shocked the world while he won the presidential race, that he was holding in his hand an electric saw, and he is saying that with this electric saw I make my shock survey, I will slash the government expenditure, and I will make this major reform of my country. You should know that Argentina suffers from inflation and at the verge of hyperinflation. And the inflation now became 211%. And 40% of its people are poor now. Going into office, he has really put into force whatever he was preaching. He began his overall by doing what? By raising the taxes. Okay, but it is not like that only. He said that I will follow the laissez-faire principles, minarchism, and the free market economy. Minarchism means that the country turns into only a watchman state. And watchman state countries, the role is only supervising. And this watchman state countries, the role is just confined to protecting the people by having the military that protects the country, having a police system that protects the interests of the people. Of course, it protects them from aggression, fraud, crime, and it has also a good court system to file suits, to do anything that would protect the people. But anything else, the economy, providing products, providing services, it's according to the laissez-faire principles, or the free market, in which anything is free, anything is to be done, just like that, in an arc way, to be creative thing. So he put into force whatever he was preaching. He made this free market economy. He is lending nowhere to the people who are protesting because they are really suffering. But of course, his austerity measures are welcomed by the International Monetary Fund. And it is saying that it's even more than what is demanded. You should know that he has made everything free. The employers will do anything for their own benefit. The most important thing is to have money. And he has reduced the number of the ministries, saying that, okay, I have no money. And because of his welcomed austerity plans, you know what? The IMF disbursed for him a tranche for his 43 billion US dollar loan. Knowing that 3.3 is the tranche, while 1.4 is disbursed in advance. What you see is that Hegemony, who is coupling himself with the people of power, showing great alliance with the West, paying his very first visit to the US, not to Brazil like any Argentine president before. And he's also showing great favoritism for Israel, unlike any Latin American country that has got a very deteriorated relationship with Israel. Do you think that he will be left like that, to lose, and to have his plans to be failure? Of course, he is not speaking so much nowadays about dollarizing the economy, but he is saying that dollarizing the economy is a process and it takes time. And I believe at the end he will dollarize his economy. Do you think that I'm saying that and it is just a wild guess? And this dollarization of the economy of Argentina is a unique one or one of its own in the world? Or it is a pilot plan? No, it is not. Because there are other countries that have already dollarized their economy. One of them is Ecuador, that has forsaken the use of its national currency, the silk rate, that has been used there since 1884. But in 2000, they have adopted the US dollar to save their country that was suffering then from a great economic crisis. You should know that by dollarizing their economy, they have saved the country from fiscal deficit, from hyperinflation, and they have built out the banking system. And it wasn't only Ecuador. There is also Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, this country in Black Africa, that suffers from a very deteriorated economic status. You should know that Zimbabwe in 1980 has replaced the Rhodesian dollar, that was the currency after its freedom, with the Zimbabwean dollar. And the Zimbabwean dollar had the same value of the US dollar. But suddenly, the performance of the Zimbabwean dollar that was performing okay and strong during the 20th century, wow, just like this. By the third millennium, its performance became really very bad. And the country began to suffer from great economic crisis, inflation, and all these bad things that make any economy in the world suffer. So they kept reducing the value of this Zimbabwean dollar until, became what? It became 10 to the power of 25 of the value of the US dollar. So they said that, okay, the people are really suffering, the economy is suffering, so let's revert to the use of the multi-international currency system. They began using the yuan, the pound sterling, the US dollar, the yen, whatever country in the world was okay in their own economy. But of course, at the top of all of them was the US dollar. Even if when they tried to make some reforms to this Zimbabwean dollar in 2019, this reform and this good performance for the new Zimbabwean dollar was okay for only 1 year until 2020. But after that, they have again adopted this multi-currency system. You should know that Zimbabwe is using this multi-currency system, but indirectly is dollarizing only its own economy. So, you should notice that both of Ecuador and Zimbabwe are countries with not so many potentialities. Their economic status, it is not that good. And their influence in the world is so limited, if not so local. But if you compare the situation with that of Argentina, you should know that Argentina is the third biggest economy in Latin America. And it has a good influence in the world trade motion. But it has got an economic crisis. You should also know that both of Ecuador and Zimbabwe, and especially the Zimbabwe, the IMF and the International Bank and so many other countries try to help it, but it is still suffering. But do you think that Argentina, that we have seen that the IMF has really given it something in advance, will be just like both of Zimbabwe and Ecuador? Okay, I will tell you one thing. When Hegemony, who was saying that he would rise his country, won the presidential race, one of the reporters commented in a sarcastic way, and he said, okay, let's make America great again. I'm sorry. Let's make Argentina great again. Do you think that this was an intended mistake? I leave it to you to say whatever is going on. But you should know that the success of the experiment of Argentina can be interpreted as follows. Argentina, as I've told you, is a country with great potentialities. So, dollarizing its economy means that it will conclude many great deals with the US dollar. That means that it will perpetuate the influence of the US dollar. Again, there are so many other countries in the world that are suffering also from this economic crisis. And do you think what will happen? When they see that example of Argentina, of course, they will hurry to dollarize their economies, knowing that these countries are using indirectly, just like Zimbabwe, the US dollars in their deeds and even in their own national deeds. They are selling properties, cars, gold investments according to the US dollar value. And of course, the customers who are favored are those who are showing the green. The rise in Argentina, and if there are so many other countries will follow, means that the influence of the BRICS will be so limited, no matter if it is just its own currency. Its currency might be strong and okay, and according to it, there would be trade deals into its members, but still, it will be of limited influence. Its influence might be compared to the influence of the euro. That's really strong, and many trade deals are concluded with it, but it still has a very limited effect. Also, the dollarization process of so many countries will make disbanding the petrodollar system of no use. Because you know what? There would be so many other countries who are concluding their oil deals with US dollars. Also, what about the trade motion? The trade motion will be into US dollars because there are so many countries who are adopting this currency. According to what I've said before, and if this trial balloon of Argentina has really succeeded, it means that the mega influence of the US dollar will be sustainable. And now, the question is for you. By the success of the experiment of Argentina, which country will be next in dollarizing its own economy? If you like the content, please, I'd like to see your thumbs up and the subscribe button clicked. And see you again in Economics in the Go. Bye.